Ooh. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Malaysia's Budget 2021. Let's take a look at what impacts us the most. Cha-ching! Instead of going through everything, I thought that I'd make a video of those items that would impact the most amount of people. And in line with the name of this channel, I'll be giving a special focus towards millennials and Gen Zs and how the Budget 2021 impacts our finances. Before we start, I'll give a brief view of the entire picture. During tough economic conditions, governments all over the world usually have less money to spend because they have less revenue that they received in the year itself. So how are they going to do it? By debt, of course. 27% of Malaysia's 2021 budget will be funded through debt, which is a lot higher than the usual 15 to 16%. It's quite obvious to see that the Malaysian government is taking loans and issuing bonds just to raise this money. By doing this, I think that it's extremely important for them to come up with a good budget strategy to make sure that they use this money wisely. Another thing to note is that Malaysia has always been in a budget deficit, meaning the government spends more money than they make in revenue. In 2020, it's actually going to be at its worst since 2009, with a slight recovery seen in 2021. Let's see how this budget will impact all of us. First of all, there's a lot of things going on with regards to EPF. In the past few weeks, I've seen a lot of debates happening on social media on whether withdrawing money from EPF is a good thing to do, even if the government allows you. I know that it's never good to withdraw money from your potential retirement income in the future, but sometimes when we're facing problems, we just have to find quick fixes. Anyway, there's 3 parts under EPF that was tabled under the budget. First of all, your contribution to your EPF will reduce from 11% to 9% for one whole year starting from 1st of January 2021. This means that if you have a salary of around 3,000 ringgit every month, you'll see a 2% increase in your take-home pay or around 60 ringgit. This may not seem like a lot, but to some, it'll really help with their day-to-day expenses, and if people really decide to spend the money, then that will really spur the economy. One thing to note though, that I think sometime around June of this year, the government actually automatically reduced everyone's contribution from 11% to 7% unless you opted out. This means that if those of you who didn't do anything, right now you're only contributing 7%, and starting 1st January, you'll actually start contributing 9%, which means you'll have a lower take-home pay. I think this is a good initiative, even though to an individual, 2% may not seem a lot, but when we multiply this by Malaysia's working population of over 10 million people, that'll really help the economy. The next initiative regarding EPF is for people who recently lost their jobs. They'll be able to withdraw a further 500 ringgit every single month for 12 months, meaning a total of 6,000 ringgit. This one makes a lot of sense to me because even though I admit that it's never good to take away from your future, this is probably one of those times that it's an exception. Bills have to be paid after all, right? You've lost your job, you can't really see so far in the future because you have problems right now that need to be fixed. Of course, the government can step in and provide more aid for these people, but that's a story for another day. Finally, everyone in Malaysia will be allowed to withdraw money from their EPF for the purpose of medical and life insurance, starting from 2021. If you're already burdened with salary cuts and an uncertain economy, the last thing that you will want is a heavy hospital fee. It's a good initiative in my opinion, but I wonder how effective it will be. Maybe it'll help change the minds of people who are already subscribed but thought of cancelling because they didn't have enough money. You see, when I have a lot of commitments, I can't just cancel my car or house loan, right? The easiest thing to do would be to cancel my insurance, but that's not a good thing because, like I said, the worst thing that we want is for us to be forced into going to hospital and having a very hefty fee that we can't really pay. Maybe these are for those guys so that they don't have to cancel their insurance. On a separate but related note, I've been thinking of making a video on going through the process of buying my first ever medical insurance. I know, I'm 24 and I haven't bought it yet, but it's at the top of my list. If you guys are interested in watching that, let me know down in the comments below. Next up, we'll go into the topics of aid or handouts. The government is giving 50 ringgit worth of eWallet credits similar to what they did before. The difference now though is that only people between the age of 18 and 20 will be eligible for it. The purpose of this is to drive the adoption of eWallets among Malaysians. It doesn't really make sense because those people aged between 18 and 20 would already have eWallets, wouldn't they? I'm not really sure if this 50 ringgit will really make some of them who don't have eWallets to start using it. Shouldn't this be more targeted towards the older generations, maybe above 30, because they're not so tech savvy and they wouldn't have e-wallets? If you missed out on this because you're a bit older than 21 like we are, fret not. there's still some stuff for all of us. If you're over 21 years old, single, and earn an income of less than 2,500 ringgit every month, then you'll get a 350 ringgit one-off payment from the government that follows up from the Bantuan Hidup that they executed this year. If you're a household and you're eligible for it, you'll get a bigger one-off payment to cover the cost of yourself and your entire family. For those of you who are in the unfortunate position of losing your job, don't forget that you can apply for the SOCSO relief program. I mean, we're all contributing to it anyway. If you look at your salary slip, you should see a deduction of EPF, taxes, and SOCSO every single month. What SOCSO does is it helps employees who are let go from their jobs to continue paying their bills at least for a while. It's sort of an insurance in a way. The period of this relief has increased to 9 months, which I think was previously 6 months. In the first month, you get 80% of your salary, the next 5 months you'll get 50%, and the last 3 months you'll get 30%. It's not as much as what you used to earn from your job, but if you're in this unfortunate position, then you should definitely take a look. Finally, uni students under PTPTN will be able to take out loans to purchase laptops for the purpose of digital education. One of the most crucial aspects that governments all over the world are facing with the switch to digital education is the fact that some people just can't afford it. I don't usually recommend taking out loans so early in your life, but this would be one of the cases that, again, I would say, go for it. Education is key and you don't want to get left behind just because you can't afford it, so I think this is a good initiative from the government. Now, on to taxes. For those of you who earn between 50 to 70,000 ringgit, every year you'll see a 1% reduction in your taxes in 2020. I'm not sure how this will work, whether it'll be 1% less for your entire income of 50,000 or just for the bracket of 50 to 70,000. Regardless, it should be a welcome initiative and we should see less taxes by around 200 ringgit based on my calculations. On top of this, the tax relief for PRS will actually increase from 2,500 ringgit every year to 3,000 ringgit. This will last until 2025, so we have around 5 years to maximize this. For those of you who don't know how this works, don't worry because even I myself haven't really utilized this even though I know I should. I know how much I'm missing out on because being able to get a tax relief on your investments will actually make it very rewarding. It's a good initiative from the government to encourage people to start investing for their future, and it's something that I'll definitely put right below getting a medical insurance. For those of you who are on the lookout to buy your first house, there will be a stamp duty exemption up to 500,000 ringgit starting from next year until 2025. I don't really know how this works because I haven't really done much research on buying a house, but some quick calculations show that this could be a potential saving of 10,000 ringgit, which is quite significant. Do you really want to buy a house though? Check out our video on buying versus renting a house, which I'll leave up here. So far, I've been talking about all the good things that are coming from this budget. Of course, when the government gives out so much, they need to start increasing their revenues as well. There will be a sin tax increase on cigarette and vape products starting from 2021. I think that this is a good move because the government can't afford to increase taxes anywhere else. The economy is struggling. The best place that they can do it has to be from cigarettes, and I know they'll affect a lot of people, but let's face it guys, it's not good for us. The final thing that I'll cover today is an initiative from the government for companies to hire fresh grads onto their payroll. This is welcome news to me because Malaysia has a very high youth unemployment rate of 12%. And get this, it's even before all the stuff that happened this year. People are projecting for this number to go way up as our economy is really struggling right now. I have a lot of friends who just graduated recently and are finding it incredibly hard to find their first jobs because companies are just so cautious about spending money. Hopefully this helps out a lot of them and a lot of you guys as well who are looking for your first jobs. This is an issue that I always feel needs more support from the government because having a youth unemployment rate of more than 10% is a really concerning sign. Just take note though that this budget isn't finalized, so things can change, and a lot of this are also on my own interpretation. Unfortunately, when they present it, it's not very detailed and they usually like to come up with the detailed plans only later on. That's it for today guys. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you want to watch more of our videos, check out this one on 5 unique tips to be better with money in 5 minutes. Or you can watch this one on 5 traditional money rules that you can break. See you in the next one. Peace out. Okay,